What's good, YouTube? We're back with another vid. Today we're reacting to this one mistake won the Celtics an NBA championship. Like I said, I missed out on a lot of JxmyHighroller vids, so this is on the road to catch it up. Someone requested this in the comments of my last vid, so I decided, you know what, I gotta react to it. Everything you comment will get reacted to because I'm on a streak of just catching up with all the stuff I missed out on when I went on my little hiatus break. So yeah, make sure I like, comment, subscribe, and let's get into it.
It's June 27th, 2013. The Miami Heat just won their second straight NBA title. Jason Kidd and Grant Hill just announced their retirements, and the 2013 NBA draft is about to begin. The first overall pick was going to the Cleveland Cavaliers, and with their stellar track record of #1 picks, their selection was bound to be a future Hall of Famer.
They said we did also draft Anthony Bennett. Or not we, but the Cavs also did draft Anthony Bennett. So let's not just say everything they drafted first was great.
Franchise-altering caliber player.
The Cleveland Cavaliers select Anthony Bennett of Toronto.
I didn't even know he got drafted this year.
Nevada, Las Vegas.
Turned out he was not. On June 27, 2013, the Cavaliers selected Anthony Bennett with the first overall pick in the draft, a player who would go on to play just 4 seasons in the NBA, never even averaged 5 points a game, and is widely considered to be the biggest bust in NBA history. And somehow, the Cavaliers drafting Bennett wasn't even the worst decision a front office made in the NBA that day.
Kevin Garnett, Paul Pierce, Jason Terry, all going to the Brooklyn Nets. Celtics get 3 number ones, 2014, 2016, 2018. Humphreys, Wallace, Evans, just a bunch of stuff. Clearly the Celtics are...
In what was described by many as one of the worst trades in NBA history, the Celtics traded away their 2 All-Stars in Kevin Garnett and Paul Pierce for 4 aging role players, a rookie who played 5 minutes a game, 3 first-round picks, and a pick swap. A big haul for the Celtics, but the ultimate 50 cents on the dollar trade. Fans were shocked, appalled, the trade being described as completely lopsided. Trading away 2 all-star caliber players and a starting level veteran for 5 players, the majority of them probably won't even see the court in a Celtics jersey, and 4 picks that may or may not pan out? Unforgivable. But little did fans know, 11 years later, this trade would trigger a sequence of events that would lead them directly back to a title.
Today's video is sponsored. DraftKings sponsor me. It's about to be football season. Let's get our bets going. You hear me?
Sportsbook app now. New customers use promo code JxmyHighroller and bet just $5 on any wager and get $150 in bonus bets instantly. That's promo code JXMY. In basketball years, 2013 feels like a lifetime ago. The league was completely different. We had yet to be introduced to some of our favorite players. 3-pointers didn't dominate the game, and the Boston Celtics
first really
looked
good
like
2K
this.
games.
The core of their 2008 championship-winning roster still intact, minus Ray Allen. This team and this team are worlds apart, with nothing in common other than the name on the front of their jersey. This 2013 team was good, but the door on their championship aspirations was closing quickly, and time would tell that they would never go on to win another championship. What they would do, however, was inadvertently spark a chain of events that would ultimately lead to a championship over a decade later. They didn't know it at the time, but this team was about to make the ultimate sacrifice that would inevitably guide the future of this organization back to a championship. And it all started with one trade.
Well, there was a huge trade agreed to last night, and this is the one Berman is certainly not happy about. According to reports, the Boston Celtics will send Paul Pierce and Kevin Garnett to the Brooklyn Nets for a package of players including Jared Wallace and 3 first-round picks. Now, the rebuilding movement in Boston is clearly in full effect now. In 1 week, the Celtics Nation has said goodbye to Doc Rivers, Pierce, and Garnett. The Nets, meanwhile, have put together an all-star starting 5. It's looking pretty good.
In the summer of 2013, the Celtics broke headlines by trading Kevin Garnett and Paul Pierce to the Brooklyn Nets for what felt like to fans at the time, very little in return. The deal itself wasn't great, but trading away the heart and soul of the team was an emotional gut punch for Boston fans. Not only was the team that Boston fans grew to love completely stripped away, but this trade meant the Celtics were going to be in rebuild mode for the foreseeable future. But Celtics GM at the time, Danny Ainge, had a plan. A timeline that was going to take the Celtics to the lowest depths of the league before inevitably bringing the organization back to glory. And that timeline began just 6 days after this fateful trade. On July 3rd, 2013, the Celtics hired former Butler University head coach Brad Stevens. Now, Stevens had never coached in the NBA before. He was just 36 years old, and he was handed over one of the worst rosters in the league. The 5-player haul the Celtics got in return for Pierce and KG was about as inconsequential as expected. Keith Bogans and Marshawn Brooks played a combined 10 games for Boston. Chris Joseph played a whopping 24 minutes in a Celtics jersey. Chris Humphries was on to a new team after just 1 season, and Gerald Wallace was retired within just 2 seasons, which meant that the near future of the most successful and storied franchise in NBA history would be determined by their 4 newly acquired draft picks. By the end of the 2016 season, 3 years after the infamous trade with Brooklyn, the Celtics roster looked like this. The 2 remaining players from the 2013 roster were Avery Bradley and Jared Sullinger. The team was—
Alright, let's look at this team for a minute. This team isn't bad off first look. We got Isaiah Thomas, we got Avery Bradley, Jay Crowder, Kelly Olynyk, Marcus Smart, Terry Rozier. Got is that Jared Sullinger? That's not a
was painfully average throughout those
team,
3 years,
but it is
they
very
used that
average.
2014 first-round pick they received from the Nets to draft James Young, who didn't really pan out. But they did have an all-star guard in Isaiah Thomas, and 3 remaining picks from that trade with the Nets. What they managed to do with these picks would become a masterclass of NBA management and nothing short of a miracle.
All right, let's see who these 3 picks were.
It all starts with the Nets being absolute dog water in 2016, winning just 21 games, the 3rd worst record in the NBA.
Yes.
This gave the Nets great odds in the draft lottery and resulted in them landing with the 3rd overall pick in the 2016 draft, a pick that lottery in 21 games, the 3rd worst record in the NBA. This gave the Nets great odds in the draft lottery and resulted in them landing with the 3rd overall pick in the 2016 draft, a pick that now belonged to the Celtics.
Wow.
Now, at the time, these picks that the Celtics received were a complete shot in the dark. Many people believed this 2016 pick was going to be a mid to late first rounder because no one thought the Nets would be as terrible as they were.
Now, the picks are first rounders in 2014, 2016, and 2018. Now, they will probably not be lottery picks because of the fact that the Nets would probably be doing well by then.
Turns out this pick wasn't just a lottery selection, it was top 3. And with this 3rd pick, Boston selected a 6'6" two-way guard out of Cal who was getting comparisons to Jimmy Butler.
With the 3rd pick in the 2016 NBA Draft, the Boston Celtics select
Jason Tatum.
Jaylen Brown from the University of California, Berkeley.
Jaylen Brown got off to a slow start with Boston, but the potential was clearly there. And with the addition of Al Horford, who signed in the offseason, the Celtics would go on to have their best season in a decade, winning 53 games, earning the #1 seed in the East, and making a run to the conference finals. Their luck was turning around, the fateful trade in 2013 fading into the past. But that Nets trade would prove to be the gift that just kept on giving.
Jason Tatum. Who's better to y'all, Jason Tatum or
After their
Jaylen Brown?
2017 season, the Boston Celtics were set up for one of the weirdest occurrences that can
All
happen
time.
in the NBA. As bad as the Nets were in 2016, they managed to outdo themselves in the following season, winning just 20 games and having by far the worst record in the league. And this meant that despite the Celtics finishing the season as the 1 seed, thanks to that 2013 trade with the Brooklyn Nets and the 2017 pick swap that came with it, The Celtics had the #1 overall pick in the NBA draft.
While being the #1
this
draft
has happened before,
player.
both in
That's
1978
crazy.
when the Blazers finished the season as the 1 seed and the Pacers just willy-nilly traded away their first overall pick before the draft, and in 1982 when Cavs owner Ted Stepien traded away their first-round pick a few years prior, leading to the Lakers having the #1 pick in the draft after winning a championship. In fact, Stepien was so reckless with his trades that the league had to step in and make a rule, essentially preventing owners and GMs from shooting themselves in the foot. So the fact that the Celtics had this pick in the first place was miraculous. But what Danny Ainge did next was not a matter of good fortune, but rather genius. Instead of using their first overall pick, Ainge decided to trade down and swap picks with the 76ers, giving them the first overall pick in return for the 3rd pick in the draft and a future first rounder. The Celtics front office already knew who they wanted in the draft, and it wasn't Markelle Fultz or Lonzo Ball. They also knew that they were going to get their preferred player regardless of if they were picking 1st or 3rd. So in one of the ballsiest moves in draft of if they were picking 1st or 3rd.
Everybody talking, and you got this boy over here with a full set of teeth showing his mother. Yeah, I made it on TV, Mom. Look at the boy.
So in one of the ballsiest moves in draft history,
That's a
Ainge traded
crazy.
away
That's a crazy draft down though, because out of those 3, they saved themselves. That was. If they would have got Markelle Fultz, they wouldn't be in the position they are now. If they got Lonzo Ball, they would definitely not be in the position they are now. Well, it depends. Maybe Lonzo wouldn't have gotten injured with the Celtics, but who knows?
the first pick for the 3rd, got the player he wanted, and got a free future first rounder in the process. The player they selected in the 2017 draft was just the player they needed.
With the 3rd pick in the 2017 NBA draft,
That was
the
smart, bro.
Boston Celtics select
I don't know how
Jason Tatum.
they dodged a bullet with Markelle Fultz and Lonzo. Even though
By
Lonzo may have not gotten
2017,
injured.
the
with them,
Celtics
so
went
who
from an
knows?
average team
But
drifting in no man's land to earning the top seed in their
crazy.
conference and securing one of the best young duos in the entire league. Their next task, building a championship team around their new young talent. And they still had one more pick remaining from the KG Pierce trade. So on August 30th, 2017, 2 months after they drafted Jason Tatum, Boston traded away Jay Crowder, Isaiah Thomas, and that 2018 first-round pick they received from the Nets in return for Kyrie Irving. By the end of the 2017 offseason, the Celtics roster had completely turned over once again. The first seeds of a championship team were being laid. But time would prove that this team wasn't quite ready for the big stage. The Celtics were good, making it to the Eastern Conference Finals in their first season with Kyrie and winning nearly 50 games in his second season with the team. But it became clear that Irving did not share the same priorities or expectations as the organization. So in the 2019 offseason, Kyrie decided to not return to Boston and ironically signed a 4-year deal with the Brooklyn Nets. This was a huge blow to the Celtics. It completely caught them off guard. They lost an all-NBA player and they got nothing in return. The first step backwards for the organization during their rebuild. At this point, the Celtics knew they had a solid foundation with Tatum and Brown, and if they wanted to win, it would be with a team built around these two. So that's what they did. Over the next year, they drafted Peyton Pritchard in the 2020 draft. They acquired Luke Cornett in a trade during the 2021 season. They signed undrafted free agent Sam Hauser, and they traded to bring back Al Horford in the 2021 offseason. By the start of the 21-22 season, the Celtics finally had some continuity with their team. 10 players from their 16-man roster returning from the 2021 season. But 8 years after their 2013 trade with the Brooklyn Nets, long after the residual aftermath of the trade had seemed to come to its natural conclusion, there was one last gift that trade had to offer for the Celtics. Now, if you can recall, in the 2017 draft, the Celtics used their pick they got from the Nets to draft Jason Tatum, but not before trading away the first pick for the 3rd pick and a future first rounder. Well, that future first round pick came into play in 2019 when the Celtics selected Romeo Langford with the 14th overall pick. Now, Langford didn't quite work out for the Celtics, and so in February of 2022, the team packaged Langford, Josh Richardson, and 2 first-round picks in a trade with the San Antonio Spurs in return for Derek White. And just like that, nearly a decade after what was described as one of the worst trades of all time, the Celtics turned an aging Kevin Garnett, Paul Pierce, and Jason Terry into Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, and Derek White. 8 years later, turns out that trade wasn't so bad after all. But the Celtics weren't done yet. After a finals appearance in 2022, the team was hungrier than ever. They were close. They had the tools. They knew they were still missing some pieces, and they knew just where to get them. But in order to have a chance at a title, they would have to make their biggest sacrifice yet.
Coach? Or Jrue Holiday?
On June 23, 2023, just 3 weeks after their season came to an end, the Boston Celtics broke headlines in a 3-team trade with the Memphis Grizzlies and the Washington Wizards. Through this trade, the Celtics acquired Kristaps Porzingis. What they had to give up? Their leader and the heart of their team, Marcus Smart. A trade that was described as one of the most difficult decisions the organization has had to make in recent history. But it had to be done. The Celtics were one step closer to their ultimate goal. And just before the start of the 2023-2024 season, Boston made one last move that would prove to create the winning formula they had been seeking.
Jrue Holiday is a Celtic just days after being dealt from Milwaukee to Portland. In exchange for Holiday, the Celtics have sent Rob Williams and Malcolm Brogdon to the Blazers. Portland also gets a 2024 first-round pick via Golden State and a 2029 first-round pick. Here's what Jaylen Brown.
And with the acquisition of Jrue Holiday, the Celtics would go on to dominate the 2024 season, having one of the greatest seasons in NBA history, resulting in an NBA championship.
They were heads
Over the
and
course
feet
of a decade,
with a record
the Celtics went through a massive
in
rebuild that featured 112 players, 30 draft picks, 4 coaches, 2 GMs, one of the worst seasons in franchise history, 5 conference finals appearances, and finally, they had their championship roster. All of this stemming from 4 measly draft picks the Nets threw in as consolation in a lopsided trade 11 years ago. Look at the Celtics today and all of their talent, their record-setting season, the championship they earned, and you'll see a team that was bound to win a title. They've been called a super team, an easy path to the finals, too good for their own good.
I don't know about
when you
super
take a
team.
step back and look at the long road the Celtics took to
But they are
get here,
good.
you'll find resilience, sacrifice, patience, risk-taking, genius management and coaching, and an organization that has been meticulously crafting and building their championship team for over a decade. This championship was no fluke. If finding themselves in the same situation, I'm not sure how many organizations would have the foresight or composure to make some of the moves Boston did throughout this process to get where they are today. In the summer of 2013, the Boston Celtics made what was thought at the time to be one of the worst trades the NBA has ever seen. But unknown to them, 11 years later, this infamous trade would trigger a sequence of events that would put the Celtics on a crash course with NBA history and a championship.
One of the weirdest teams to get a championship. I didn't know how to feel about them getting it. It was, I don't know, like it's. I wanted Dallas to win, I'll be honest, but when you set a 5th team in their conference versus the number 1, it's like, I don't know, bro. I did want Dallas to win. I wanted Kyrie to get up a revenge story on the Celtics, and the Celtics, like, they have players, they're good, but it's weird. I don't know. In my brain, I just don't rate them as high as I would rate, like, I still have Kyrie Irving and Luka over. You know what? I'm not even gonna get toxic. I'll leave that. Maybe I'll do like a if y'all want me to do best players in the league before the season starts, let me know. That's gonna be I'm gonna, oh my gosh, I'll start doing my research now and stuff like that, and I'll develop the best top 10 NBA players in the league right now list. Good Lord, that's gonna be oh no, I just know there's certain people that are gonna either watch that or react to that and have different feelings about it. That would be funny to do though, but I know most of my channel is based on older fans and soccer fans, so it's kind of weird trying to do these type of content, because I would like to. I watch basketball right now, so obviously I'd have a lot to say about right now's NBA, but everything that I've built up from the ground with this channel has been based around either Larry Bird or, you know, Lionel Messi, Ronaldo, those type of players. They get the most views, subscribers. Everything that I've gotten has been surrounded around those players. So that's what the subscribers want. They don't really watch me react to. Last time I reacted to a LeBron Lakers video, that got like what, 30, 40 views. Like, maybe I'll try watching the Olympics, but that's probably copyrighted. Especially also added on to that, all the videos that I react to that are of today, they get copyrighted from like NBA or TNT. But when I react to something like JxmyHighroller, obviously great guy, doesn't copyright his content, and we can react to it, and he creates great content. But other than that, it's strictly like older videos and based on older people, because those type of those content, those videos don't get copyrighted. But yeah, make sure I like, comment, subscribe. Let me know if I do a top 10, if I should do a top 10 NBA players right now list. I can do an NBA top 10 all-time list too, but that's gonna be too much. I might do that after, who knows. But yeah, I'll see you on the next video.